Hi everybody. Welcome back to episode 7 of This Sucks. Hey everybody. Thanks for coming back, and again for watching, for supporting. As of this point, we've reached over $10,000 on the GoFundMe to help support me and my family as I go through the third cancer diagnosis, and it is now official. I met with my doctor today, and I have officially been diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic melanoma. All really scary words, scary things. It is in my bone marrow of my pelvis, my leg, and my lower spine. And that's kind of like what I've said before, like that's what we know so far. That's what the results of the biopsy came back on. And there's still a few things as far as treatment plans and things that my doctor still needs a few things back. He needs to talk to a few more people to determine exactly what the plan is moving forward. So because of COVID, this appointment was going to be even harder. I asked ahead of time whether my husband could come with me to this appointment, knowing that the news we were going to get wasn't going to be great. And the answer that I got from the nurse was, I'm sorry, because of COVID, only patients can come back, but you can have him on the phone with you while you're talking with the doctor. So that is what we planned for. We still rode in the car together. Josh parked across the street, and I brought my phone in and was going to give him a phone call, and we were going to have this conversation about what my diagnosis was with my doctor over the phone. And that's, we both kind of prepared ourselves for that. All day yesterday, our stomachs were upset. Our anxiety was just through the roof. Because every time you go to the doctor, they take your temperature, they take your blood pressure. I was sure my blood pressure was going to be through the roof. It wasn't. Amy. But the nurse came in, did his stuff, left, waiting for my doctor to come in, and he knocks on the door, and the first thing he asks is your husband with you? And I said, no. The nurse told me he couldn't come, that we would have to do this over the phone. And I said, so I was going to call him. He's across the street right now, but I was going to call him. And my doctor looks at me, and he kind of looks out into the hall, and he looks back, and he goes, call him and tell him to come here. We're going to make an exception in this case. Which I had 2 immediate reactions to that, which was, okay, let's just do this. So I called him. We, got him to start walking over. But inside, I went, yay, he's going to be here with me, and I can hold his hand. And 2 was, oh dear God, is it that bad? I was expecting not good news, but is it so bad that he wants me to have someone with me? And then Josh walked in, and then the doctor walked in, and then we started the conversation. And it didn't go gloom and doom, you have 2 months to live, or whatever, had popped into my head when my doctor said, go ahead and have your husband come in. It wasn't like that. And that was awesome. It's still not great, as we've talked about. And, like previous conversations we've had with my oncologist, he was somber, he was realistic, which I very much appreciate. And there are some really hard questions. I mean, while Josh and I were driving to the appointment, we wrote down questions that we were going to ask him, whether they were hard to ask or not. And one of those hard questions is I guess blatantly I could have said, am I going to die? And I didn't. I could not make those words come out of my mouth. But it was like, what are my chances? what's the mortality rate looking like? Because don't Google. Googling's bad. But we'd done a little bit of our own research, and I remembered some of the numbers from when I was very first diagnosed. And stage 4 melanoma, scary. And the numbers don't look good at all. But my thought was melanoma generally is not diagnosed in younger people. It's usually, people, older parts of the population. So there's, an age difference. I'm generally healthy. I don't have any underlying health conditions. So that has to play a part, right? That has to. Fingers crossed, right? So I asked that question. And before I tell you what his answer to that was, I want to show you guys what the cancer rates or what the survival rates are for melanoma. Now, super, super important. These numbers, this is coming from the American Cancer Society's website. The numbers, though, are based on survivability rates and research that was done between the years of 2010 and 2016. I wasn't diagnosed with melanoma until 2017, so none of these numbers really apply to me at all. There has been so much new medical breakthroughs and research that has gone into treatment of melanoma and other cancers that these are old numbers. And for all intents and purposes, may be completely wrong, but there's no way for us to know yet because there's still studies going on now to tell us what those new numbers might be. And they even say it right here, is that it's really, really important to keep in mind that when looking at these numbers do not take into account the patient's age, underlying health conditions, and all of those things that really do play a part in what someone's chances would be when they're diagnosed with cancer. So, all of those caveats put in there. The survivability rate from 2010 to 2016 for melanoma. They don't base it on stages, stage 1, 2, 3, 4. They use terminologies called localized, regional, or distant. Localized would be, I had that mole, and if it had only been in the mole, localized. That's good. That's awesome. Mine wasn't. Mine was regional. It had moved from the mole to a nearby lymph node. So it was a nearby structure, still regional, but because it was regional, that, based on those numbers from those years, gave me a 66% survivability rate for 5 years. That essentially means if you took me and you took a normal person who's not diagnosed with cancer in the population, their chance of surviving the next 5 years with, of course, no unforeseen complications, 100%, mine 66%, right? Okay, but again, doesn't take into account my age, doesn't take into account that I'm generally healthy. Now, these numbers also only apply to when you are first diagnosed with cancer, not if you are re-diagnosed and you have it come back or it goes metastatic, which is what happened with me. But still, it's a good measure a little bit, because now, if I were to be diagnosed today for the first time, it would be considered distant. A distant stage. And as of 2010, 2016, your 5-year survivability rate for a distant diagnosis of melanoma was 27%. Which is really scary. But, like I said, the fact that I'm constantly being monitored by my doctor with new scans. I'm way younger than the normal age for people dealing with melanoma. Generally, I'm healthy. And there are now so many new options for treatment that are much more effective against melanoma than they were between 2010 and 2016. So while 27% survivability rate for the next 5 years is an absolutely terrifying I know my odds are way better than that. And that's what I'm going to hold on. I am still going to take this and try and use it to remember on a daily basis just how quickly things can change. And I know, and it seems really cliche, but to not take things for granted, not take my family for granted, not take my time for granted, and really work to build those memories with those people who are important to me. My daughter will be 6.5 in 5 years. My son will be almost 16. No, I'm sorry, 15. I'm adding way too many numbers. I want my kids to know me. And I want to be around and be able to celebrate their wins and comfort them on their losses and their failings and know that I'm there for them. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm holding on to, is for them and for my husband and for my family. And yeah, that's where we're at. Stage 4 melanoma. Sucks. So that's where I'm gonna end it. Sorry for a downer tonight, but yeah, that's what I needed to say today. No matter what, no matter what the numbers say, screw the numbers. There's always new things, and there's always new technology and new medicines, and as long as we stay positive, there's always a chance. And that's where I will end it, which is what my doctor told me when I asked him, what's the mortality rate? What are my chances? And his answer wasn't, here's how much time you have or anything like that. His answer was, we're going to do treatment. We're going to work on getting it under control and hopefully shrinking it. And my goal is to have it go in remission for another couple years before it comes back and we start this again. Seems a little pessimistic, but realistic. The chances of lifelong remission, which is it just goes away, pretty slim, especially at this point. But the fact that he's looking ahead to future battles in a positive light and believes we can get there and knows that there's going to be a fight tomorrow. And then there might be a fight the day after that and the day after that. But I'll still be here to fight it. Again, scary, but it's something to hold on to. Obviously, my chances for, reaching 100 are much less than anyone else. Not that I want to reach 100 years old. That just sounds almost unpleasant, but regardless. But I'm going to go as long as I can, and I'm going to fight as long as I can. And I have a lot of people here who are supporting me, you guys, and a lot of other people, and that's going to not go away. So thank you. Again, like I remind you all the time on all these videos, be kind, spread some love, be positive, And I will see you guys next time. We'll see you in streams if you stop by, and if you're just here for these videos, again, I appreciate you so much. Take care.